What's up everybody, it's RobinGaming here. Now 1.5 months ago I did a video on Uncharted 4. I gave you my reasons why I thought it was going to be made, what system it was going to be made, when it was going to be released. And yeah, in that video I made a promise that I would do another video on the new PlayStation, the PlayStation 4. And today is that day that I'm going to do the video about the PlayStation 4. I'm going to give you my full thoughts on it, stuff like, you know, what it's going to be called, the hardware that's going to be in it, online functions, the announcement and release dates, the games. So yeah, today is the day that I will discuss that. Kind of coming back at the release date for Uncharted 4. You know, I'm gonna discuss that at the end of this video, but it could be that I'm a bit wrong there. But yeah, we'll see. And you know, before starting off about the new PlayStation, I quickly want to mention this is all my opinion. It's all speculation, of course. I'm just, you know, I'm very confident of my opinion that there's a lot of truth in there. So yeah, this is going to be the video on the new PlayStation 4. Now let's start off with the name for the system. So there have been a lot of, you know, code names, you know, circling around the whole industry. You've probably seen it on the news. It was called the PlayStation Orbis, the PlayStation Omni, the Thieves. You know, all those code names. Now, of course, I see a lot of people mistaking these names. They think that the new PlayStation is going to be called the Orbis or the Omni or the Thieves. That's of course not the case. I mean, those are just code names again. Those are there for developers to speak freely about the new PlayStation to other developers, you know, without other people understanding, you know, what it is, the Orbis, you know. So yeah, that's not what the new PlayStation is going to be called. I am confident that the new PlayStation is going to be called, well, there are two possibilities. I think it's either going to be called the PlayStation 4 or just the PlayStation. Now, I think personally the PlayStation 4 would be the best name. It's just that, you know, 4, it's already, you know, a pretty big number, so that could kind of feel, you know, it could kind of feel stupid for them to call it the PlayStation 4 because you know, it's like there's only so many numbers you can do, right? And I've also heard that 4 in Japanese is like shi, and shi means death, so it would be the PlayStation Death. That wouldn't sound really cool, so yeah, that could be why they are not calling it the PlayStation 4. And you know, the trend nowadays is just to call your systems by their original names. So you know, you see Apple do it with the new iPad. There's rumors that Xbox is going to do it. You know, that they are just going to call it the new Xbox, the Xbox again. So I wouldn't be surprised if PlayStation actually called it the PlayStation again. So yeah, and you know, when we see a new PlayStation in 7 years or something, then it's going to be again the new PlayStation. Just as simple as that. Now, personally, again, I think PlayStation 4 would be the best name. I mean, when people see that this is the PlayStation 4, just normal customers that aren't really, you know, well informed about the system, then, you know, they are not really gonna know, most probably, that this is actually a really new system that they're dealing with here. I mean, you see it happening with the PlayStation Vita, with the 3DS, with the Wii U. I mean, all those names, you know, they're funny names, of course, but I mean, people are not seeing that the PlayStation Vita is actually the PSP 2. People are not seeing that the 3DS is a whole new generation of Nintendo DS. People are not seeing the Wii U is the successor to the Nintendo Wii. They are not seeing that way. So I personally would be, yeah, I hope it's going to be called the PlayStation 4. So we'll have to see about that. I'm predicting either PlayStation 4 or PlayStation. So let's talk about the hardware in there. Of course, that's you know, the thing that's gonna you know, innovate a lot. At least that's what I hope. That's why we have a new console cycle, because there's gonna be innovations. First of all, I think the new PlayStation is gonna do 1080p and 60 frames per second. Those are, you know, there have been rumors about that circling around as well. Of course, the PlayStation 3 already did 1080p, but it was native 1080p, and only a few only a few games could handle 1080p. Most games were still 720p. So, for the ability for all games to just, play in 1080p would be great. And then also in 60 frames per second, which is what games like Call of Duty do nowadays. That would be great, because when we look at games like Battlefield, they are struggling to, show all that chaos on the screen in already 30 frames per second. So yeah, I think the new PlayStation will be able to handle 1080p in 60 frames per second. There's also been speculation about 4K display, 4K resolution display, that is, which basically is a very big resolution. I don't really see that happening because those TVs right now cost like a few £1,000s. I don't see it happening. It would make the console cost a lot, and it would be again another gimmick, just like they did with 3D and stuff like that. I don't see it happening. I hope Sony doesn't make the mistake to support 4K right now. Now there's of course the controls. That's kind of, that's pretty exciting actually. Are we gonna see a move and the camera built in the new PlayStation? Are they gonna continue with that? We'll have to see about that. Are they gonna do something with touchscreen, just like the Nintendo Wii U? Are they gonna have a second screen? All those, conceptual improvements. I'm really wondering what they're gonna do with that. As of right now, I can't really, be sure what they're gonna do with the controls, how it's gonna be, how the controls are gonna be, if there's gonna be like a new controller or anything, a controller, I mean. We'll all have to see about that, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna have a lot of new things in there. Of course, multiplayer games can support a lot more players. Right now on Call of Duty we have 6v6 battles. On Battlefield we have a maximum of 12v12. Of course we've had games like MAC which supported 256 and it didn't do it really well. I think on the next generation we would be able to handle a lot of players in one multiplayer lobby. So that's also very interesting to see what they're gonna do with that. That's why I can't wait for a new Battlefield game that has all that chaos in there, and then with a lot of new a lot of players in the lobby. I don't think there's going to be a huge focus on the graphics anymore. We've kind of had that. Games look good right now. Games are looking good, but there's not really a battle anymore for which game has the best graphics as of right now. There used to be, like 2 or 3 years ago still, when there were still improvements. But yeah, right now, I think we've kind of seen it. Again, that's just my opinion. So I'm just really, interested in the actual conceptual improvements. What they're going to do with the controls and stuff like that, as I just spoke of. It's also going to be interesting to see if Sony will use more computer kind of like hardware in the PlayStation. We've seen rumors about AMD A10 chip, graphics card, I mean, and that's gonna, that's kind of like computer hardware, like Microsoft has always had for their Xbox systems. PlayStation has always had, kind of this unique hardware. The PlayStation 3 had the Cell processor. You see first-party developers, they are really specialized in the PlayStation hardware, of course. So they can really, get the max out of the system. You see games like Uncharted and Killzone from first-party developers. Yeah, they look really good. They look a lot better than the third-party games, just because they're specialized in it. But what you do see is that Sony doesn't want to share their technology, kind of like their secrets to the technology, how you can get the max out of the system. They are not really willing to share that with the third parties, because it's something they really keep strictly for themselves. While you see Microsoft, just basically telling everyone how to get the max out of the Xbox, because they make all these packages like DirectX, and they use computer hardware that is just really open, for people to experiment with. But what you do see then is that games like Skyrim have all these problems running well on the PlayStation, and you see, the DLC not being able to come out for the PlayStation because they just have a hard time, getting it together, getting it working for the PlayStation 3. So yeah, Sony, needs to get some employees of them to help the Skyrim team into getting that, DLC on the PlayStation. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what Sony is going to do with the hardware. Then we also have online, of course. Sony has always been free to play. The PlayStation Network has always been free to play here for the PS3. I don't think Sony can permit making it free again. You see them kind of coming back with PlayStation Plus, where you have to pay for. Still, that's not, those are not really online functions you really need. But yeah, Sony is just in a lot of trouble right now. The financial crisis and stuff like that. They don't have a lot of money. I don't think Sony can permit making it free again. They will get a lot of money if they make the PlayStation Network pay to play. So I wouldn't be surprised if they would also charge $50 for a year to play online. I wouldn't be surprised with that. It's going to be interesting to see, because I'm pretty sure Microsoft is going to do the same thing again. They are going to make the 360, or the new Xbox 720, or whatever you want to call it, or just the new Xbox. They are going to make that pay to play as well. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see, because yeah, you will have gamers that own both systems. You will see them kind of like choosing a side. Well, they are not really doing that right now. When a gamer has a PS3 and a and a 360, they just they play on both systems. But yeah, once both systems are pay to play, then they're gonna make this choice into for which system am I gonna pay for to play online. So yeah, that's gonna be really interesting to see. But I am pretty sure that the PlayStation Network will be pay-to-play for the new PlayStation. So now let's talk a bit about the announcement and release date. Sony has always said that's going to be a 10-year cycle for the PlayStation 3. Now they've said the same with the PlayStation 2, but the PS3 came out 6 years after the PlayStation 2. That's exactly why I am sure that the PlayStation, the new PlayStation is going to be released, before 10 years after the PS3. So I'm really sure that the announcement for the new PlayStation is gonna be at E3 2013. Why do I think that? Well, because Microsoft, first of all, is really gonna announce it there. I'm 100% confident Microsoft is gonna announce the new Xbox at E3 2013, or at least a special event before that. Once they do that, Sony really needs to show their console as well. If they don't do that, they're gonna make a huge mistake. Therefore, I think the new PlayStation is gonna be released either fall 2013 or early 2014. It's still kind of like speculation. It could even be fall 2014, but I am sure that the new Xbox is coming out fall 2013, and Sony does not want to be left behind. They're gonna make the same mistake if they do, with the PlayStation 3. The PlayStation 3, the PlayStation 2 was a huge success. Sony thought they were immortal. Sony thought that they were invincible. They could just, after the success of the PlayStation 2, when Xbox announced the Xbox 360, Sony just thought, what, we're just gonna wait with our PlayStation 3 for a year after. But they made this huge mistake, because the PlayStation 3 had a very rough start, because of that. They're not gonna be making that same mistake. They're not gonna release it a year after the 720. So that's why I just think that the new PlayStation is coming out either fall 2013 together with the new Xbox, or early 2014. We'll have to wait for that. The price for the system, I am sure that Sony is not going to make it $600 again, just like they did with the PlayStation 3. That was another factor into why the PlayStation 3 failed in the first 3 years, so they're not going to do that. I believe the price is going to be $400 to $450. That's what I think. There's not going to be too many innovations. I think the hardware is not going to be too expensive. So I think that Sony is going to make the new PlayStation $400 to $450. But of course, what is the defining thing to make the PlayStation 4 or the new PlayStation sell well? It's of course great games. Sony puts a lot of effort into getting a lot of very good first-party games. Microsoft is going to have a few for sure, but I think Sony is really going to try to, come with a lot of exclusives, just so people will really choose for the new PlayStation. They're going to come with Uncharted 4. They're going to come with Killzone 4, and maybe even a new IP from Guerrilla. We know they are working on a new IP, and they're working on a successor to Killzone 3. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see one of the two as a launch game. Sucker Punch is going to work on Infamous 3, of course. We have Polyphony, who might be working on Gran Turismo 6 as a launch game. Insomniac, maybe with a new Ratchet & Clank game. Of course, Media Molecule, we haven't heard from them in a while as well. After Little Big Planet 2, we only heard about this PlayStation Vita game, but of course, yeah, they are not putting all their resources on a PlayStation Vita game. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna come with Little Big Planet 3 or you know, a really new IP. Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see that. All in all, I think the PlayStation 4 is going to be a huge system. I really can't wait to see what they're bringing. Again, I said Uncharted 4 was going to be released fall 2013, but of course, if Sony decides to release the PlayStation 4, you know, let's say early 2014, then of course Uncharted 4 is coming at that date as well. Yeah, I heard that there might be a pretty big chance that Uncharted 4 is actually planned for early 2014. So yeah, that would be a pretty good reason why the PlayStation 4 is actually also coming early 2014. But we're gonna have to wait and see. It's gonna be amazing, you know, seeing the PlayStation 4 at E3 2013. I'm confident it's going to be announced right there. I'm really interested in hearing your thoughts on the new PlayStation, on the launch games, and it's going to be, you know, again, it's going to be great to see the new console. I can't wait for it. And yeah, those were my thoughts on the new PlayStation. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone, and I hope to see you again next time.